Everybody to this month's Fast Track Lab class. Really excited to be here with you. Let me know if you're here watching us live. Let me know that you are here. Go ahead and put your first name in the chat. And if you're watching this later, welcome. You can also put hashtag replay. Let us know that you're watching this. I know we have people in our community that sometimes catch it live, sometimes catch it later. Really excited about our topic today. In fact, this is what we're going to be diving in today. How to properly set up your online business for success. Now, this is a topic that, quite frankly, most people, most gurus, most teachers, most coaches out there, they never cover this topic. So I think you're going to enjoy diving into this. And I got to tell you up front, this is going to be a high-level overview of how we have our business structured behind the scenes, and we could easily create classes on each of these topics. So, hey, let's jump in. Let's get started. I see you guys are ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's jump right into the iPad here, and let's jump in and get started. So again, welcome everybody to the topic today, how to properly set up your online business for success. So what are we going to cover today? Well, here's what we are going to cover: how to properly set up your online business. Even if you say, Jonathan, I've already gotten started, I didn't do these things right away, that's okay, because you can correct that. You can start implementing what I'm talking about today, even if you've been doing this for a while. We're also going to talk about best practices at managing your finances as a business and what I've learned, how to handle the operations side of your business, how to manage the systems side of your business. And yes, you have systems, even if it's just you, and much, much more. And I got to make a disclaimer for this because it's super important that this information in the training is intended for your general knowledge. You should seek the advice of a professional on your specific accounting and tax situation. So we're going to get into a little bit of different ways you could structure your business, but I certainly don't want to pretend that this is professional advice. So seek out that professional advice if needed. All right, so we're going to start with some of the more common questions here. And the first one is sole proprietor or LLC. So a sole proprietor is essentially you are a sole proprietor if, and this is again in the US, okay? So if you're international, it's gonna be different for you. But in the US, you're a sole proprietor the day that you say you're in business. So again, some industries require a business license, like if you're gonna be a landscaper and you're gonna be digging around and installing sprinkler systems, you got to have permits and things like that. We're talking about an online business. So if you want to start a coaching business, you want to write books, you want to create courses, you're in business the day that you say you're in business. You're a sole proprietor. That's how it's going to be for tax purposes. And so the income that and we'll get to this again in a second, the income that you're going to report when you're first starting out is typically a 1099. A 1099 is kind of like miscellaneous income that just kind of gets tacked on to your regular income if you've also got a day job and you're doing this on the side. So sole proprietor is pretty much, if you haven't done anything up to this point, in most cases, you're a sole proprietor right now. Then there's the option of LLC. And let's see here. So we got sole proprietor or LLC. Now, LLC, what an LLC does, and you can go to several places online. I'm trying to think of some of the ones I've used off the top of my head that are out there. But there are places out there. I think it's like Rocket Lawyer is one. There's another one that comes to mind. I can't think of it at the second. Maybe it'll come to me in a minute. But you can go, I think it's like Legal Docs or something like that. You can go for $100, $200, and you can officially set up an LLC in your state. Now, I did this recently, actually last year, for my son, who has, he's 17 at the time of this recording, but he has started his business. And his business is game design, game development. And there's a particular website called Steam that would be like what Amazon is to books and merchandise. Steam is for video games. So anyone can put something up for sale, self-publish on Steam, but in order to have a Steam channel, you have to have an LLC. So there's certain situations that might require an LLC. Now, an LLC does a lot of different things, and I'm not going to pretend to wax eloquent on the accounting and tax side, but one thing that LLC can do is it can protect you as an individual. So if there's ever a reason, and this is a huge, minute percentage, if there's ever a reason someone wants to sue your business, they can't get to your personal assets, like your house, your car, your personal stuff. They can sue the business. They cannot sue you as a person. So you're separating out the two. Then later on, there are some tax advantages to an LLC when it comes for tax time as well. Okay, so that's just, again, we're doing high-level overview stuff. Not gonna, if I were to do a deep dive, I think it would create overwhelm. So we need to keep things simple. Okay, so you can always switch it later if you want. All right, number 2 is social. Yeah, somebody said LegalZoom. Yes, that's the one I'm looking for. LegalZoom. Social Security or EIN number. So you need to make a decision here. Again, if you're a sole proprietor, you can register or send in your tax information or report your income on your tax forms with being a sole proprietor, 1099, miscellaneous. This is how much total money I made in my business on the side, with your Social Security number. Okay. Now, an EIN number is an employer identification number is what it stands for. And you can actually, and I'll show this to you real quick, there are places out there like LegalZoom and other places and some other places too that will actually charge you money to give you an EIN number. But here's a little hidden secret. If you type in, and this is again in America, IRS EIN number, and I did a blog post years ago about this. I'm curious if it'll pop up. Typically it does. But if you click on this first one right here, IRS, you can, for free, get an EIN number. Doesn't matter what state you're in. You can apply for an EIN number. Now, what an EIN number is going to do is an EIN number is going to be something like, 45-234578. I'm just making up numbers, okay? An EIN number looks like this, whereas a Social Security number in the United States typically looks like this, right? 3 numbers, then 2, then 4. An EIN number, I think it's around 7 or 8 digits. It looks more like this. So here's why this can be super smart, especially when you are wanting to make affiliate income. So if you know anything about affiliate income, it's you're promoting other people's products and services and you get paid a commission, right? Maybe you do a blog post review about someone else's product, and anybody who clicks on your link and goes and buys that thing, you will earn money. Well, when you register with these companies to be their affiliate, they're going to want either a Social Security number or an EIN number. Now, one of the reasons why you want an EIN number is so that you don't have to share your Social Security number everywhere. As you know today, identity theft's a real thing. And, once you sign up for 20 or 30 of these affiliate opportunities, I much rather would give them my EIN number than my Social Security number. It's an employer identification number. Then you can also use your EIN number on your tax forms for filing as well. So that's my recommendation. is go to the IRS. You guys could do this today as a takeaway and register. You don't have to have an LLC. You can go read about the 2 or 3 steps that they recommend. But today you could have a PDF that you could print out or store somewhere like an Evernote that has your official EIN number on it. Okay? All right. So that is that. Let's get rid of this so it doesn't clutter things up. All right. Let's talk about personal checking or business checking. Now, this is something that I do recommend that you separate out. You can, if you don't want to open up a separate business checking account, one way that you can get away with it is kind of like being a freelancer and using a software tool called QuickBooks Online, but they have, I think it's called a freelancer version. What the freelancer version does is all of your income shows up in the online QuickBooks, but you flag those that are related to business expenses. Why would you want to do that? Well, for tax purposes. So most people don't know this when they first get started, but a lot of the things you're spending money on can be used as tax deductions to lower your taxes. Even in the first couple of years, anything you've spent, even if you're not generating income yet. So let's say, my first year I didn't make any money, but I spent $5,000 in different things, right? Then those expenses can be applied to your business. And yes, your business will be at a loss, and the IRS knows that, and it's okay. It's typically not going to flag a audit for the first couple years because businesses know that when a business is getting started, they're going to be at a loss while they're trying to make that business profitable, right? So what that can do is actually lower your personal taxes just by actually claiming your income. And yes, you can claim also education related expenses as well. So like your Fast Track Lab membership, your courses that you've purchased, if you've invested in coaching, those can also be used as tax deductible in your business. So because of that, it's much easier at the time of tax season to tally up your expenses in your business if you have it separated out. It just makes it so much easier. Now, if you want to know like where should I go, I strongly encourage you to find a bank that allows you to open a business checking account with no fees. Because there are some out there that will charge you money if you don't do a certain amount of transactions a month, and I don't like all that. So typically the best ones are honestly local credit unions. So I have my personal checking with a local credit union. And so I went there and opened up a business account. Now, the second thing you're going to want is you're going to want to bank at a place that not only gives you free business checking, but they also allow you to create multiple checking accounts and or savings accounts in one account. And there's a specific reason for that I'm going to tell you in just a minute. Okay? All right. So then you got to decide, how are you going to track your expenses, right? So are you going to use a spreadsheet of some kind or something like QuickBooks Online? Now, I use QuickBooks, and I have a CPA who does my books each month. When I first started out, honestly, I just started with a spreadsheet. I had one tab for income, second tab for my expenses, and I just kept track of them in a spreadsheet, which is totally fine. You can do that when you're first getting started. So you got to make that decision, that choice. But if you want to, an ideal setup is I think you can get QuickBooks for, $10 a month on just kind of a solo account. and then you just connect that to your business checking account. And then, once a month, you will categorize your expenses. And then that will make it so much easier later when you are doing your taxes, right? Sometimes some people don't categorize their expenses monthly. They just do it annually because they don't have a whole lot of expenses. You can do that too. Okay. Again, guys, I know this is a lot of information, but let me know right now if this has been helpful so far. And if this has been, you've already identified maybe a few items that you didn't know about that you could do. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up or comment if you would. All right. Finally, and this is going to be, again, a quick overview, is you've got W-9, 1099, and Schedule C. So again, when you're first getting started, you probably are just going to be dealing with a 1099. It's called a 1099 MISC. It stands for miscellaneous income. This miscellaneous income it's a real simple form that you add to your regular tax form, and you're basically reporting your income on this. So that's kind of a simplified version of that. Now, as your business gets bigger, there's going to come a point when you're going to want to actually be on payroll. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to draw all of your personal income on a W-9. You actually want to do reasonable compensation. Like I get a paycheck from my business. I do it every Friday. It's a smaller portion that of what I do, and then I take a larger portion out of what's called like a owner's draw. So as the owner of a business, you're allowed to take money out of the business anytime you want. But if you, at some point, you're going to be able to pay less taxes by actually putting yourself on payroll, even if it's a small amount, like $20,000 a year, and you just put yourself on payroll. Okay. So there's that. Okay. We got more to cover, but I wanted to talk about some of the setup so far. So hopefully this has been helpful, because we got more to chat about in this. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to erase some of this, but it's not going away. All right. So now let's go and talk about best practices with finances. Now, I wish that I would have, I wish I would have had known about this book. Actually, this book wasn't even published when I first started, so I could not do this. And I love this book. If you have not read this book, this is a must read for any entrepreneur. What this does, and I'm just going to give you kind of a quick example and overview of this, but what this does is, and this is important to start out, even if you're making very little money right now or you're just kind of getting started, it's super, super smart to do. What you're going to do is, at the very basics of it, is it's kind of like grandma's budgeting envelope system for a business. So when money comes into a business, we're going to divide it up into different envelopes, and that way we are organized and taken care of. Okay? So let me just kind of go over a basic way to get started. So you have an income account. This income account is where all the money comes into this. So this is like a checking account. I'm just going to put CK for checking. And so let's say you're using Stripe or you're using PayPal. It doesn't matter. You want the account to come into one centralized bank account. Now, this is all one bank account, but it is either multiple checking or savings accounts. It could be any kind of combo you have, okay? And so money flows into this income account. This is exactly how I have my business set up. Every day, any money that we've made flows into this one particular checking account in my business account. Then what I do, and we'll get into, actually we'll get to this in just a second. Then you want to create 4 more accounts inside of that business bank account, okay? So you're going to do a profit account, so you can set aside a little bit of profit in your business. You're going to set aside an OpEx account. That just means operating expenses. So this is where you're going to pay all of your expenses in your business. Then you're going to have an owner's pay account, super important. This is how you're going to pay yourself for your business. And then you got a tax account, and we'll talk about the tax account in just a minute, okay? So once you have these 5 accounts set up in your business, let's talk about how, what you do with that. So first of all, the book recommends twice a month, and they recommend the 10th and the 25th. I actually do this every Friday. So the truth is you can do it as often as you want. I do this every Friday. It's part of my routine. And what I do every Friday is I go into my income account and I divide it up into the envelopes. Now, this is recommended percentage. I have a couple extra accounts because as your business grows, you're going to have a need for other accounts. Like I have one for employees. I have one for a bonus pool for employees, things like that. So, but this is perfectly fine to start out. So what you would do, and these are the recommended percentages from Profit First, is, for example, you would put, maybe 5% aside for profit. Then you would put 30% of whatever you made that week into operating expenses. You put 50% into your owner's pay, and then you put 15% into your tax account. So what you can do is you can pay quarterly taxes, which we'll talk about in just a second. All right. So let's use an example, okay? And before I come back to this, let's just scroll down here. I got some extra space here. So again, we've got our income account. We have a profit account. We have an OpEx account. We've got a owner's pay account, and we have taxes. Now, I believe I said we're going to use these percentages. You can make any percentages you want. You're the boss, right? You decide the percentages. But I don't pay actually 15% in my tax account because I was doing that and I kept overpaying my taxes. So it all just depends on your business and how it's structured. But in this example, we've got 15% here. We've got 50% here. And I think this was 30%. So let's say it's Friday, you sit down and you come into your account, and we're just going to use an arbitrary number and say there's $4,000 there. Let's say even if you do this once a month, okay? Let's say once a month, beginning of every month, last month you made $4,000. Okay, now it's time for us to take the $4,000 in our income account, and we're going to transfer money into these accounts. So if we start with, and I'll pull up a calculator on my end so I can make sure I'm saying the right numbers. If we start with $4,000, we're looking at 5%. That is $200 goes here. In the OpEx account, that's 30%. That's $1,200 goes here. In the owner's pay, that's 50, so that's $2,000 goes here. And then for taxes, that's 15%. That's $600 goes here, right? And what I've done is I have divided this money up. Now this income account always ends up going back to zero, but that's okay because I'm not paying bills out of that account, right? It's just it's a placeholder for my income, and then I divide it out, all right? where I'm paying my expenses is here. Now, one of the good things of doing this, and again, you have to adjust the percentages that works for you. Maybe 30% is not high enough. You need to have that higher. Maybe you want your owner's pay a little lower. You don't want to pay as much in taxes. So it's all flexible. But using this example, I know that $1,200 is kind of the budget for me right now for money I'm willing to spend on things, right? So I've got a budget for that. The owner's pay, let's say, and I use this example here, let's say I decide my paycheck every month is $1,200. Then I would pay myself $1,200 out of this, and that leaves $800 in the owner's pay. Now, what's nice about this is your owner's pay is a safety net for you, because if you're not withdrawing the total amount over time, like maybe the next time you do this, you end up putting 4,000 in here, right? And then because you had 4,800 already in there, now you got 4,800. You following me? And then you just take 1,200 out. And this is where doing this can provide some security and help you see that, oh man, I've got 3 months of owner's pay in this account for myself. And once that gets up to around 7, 8 months, it's time to give yourself a raise, right? That's how it works for me. So again, I know we're diving into numbers here. I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. What do you guys think? Thumbs up. Is this good information so far? Let me know. But then I have this $200 is sitting aside as profit. That's my budget. And then this is sitting there for me to do my taxes. So let's talk about taxes. So anyway, we'll come back to profit account. So talk about the taxes. And again, I don't know if these are the dates for this year, depending on when you're watching this. But the way it works in the United States is if you have a business, they would prefer you, or they ask you to pay quarterly taxes. Now, what that's doing is you're paying ahead of time so that taxes don't surprise you come next year, right? So this year, right now, you would be paying, if you paid taxes, a little bit of taxes in every 90 days, then when you actually do your taxes, you'll be able to see, oh, I've already paid most of my taxes. I don't have to pay a bunch of taxes all at once. That's kind of this idea. It's really prepaying in a way. That's the way I like to see it. It's prepaying your quarterly taxes, right? So then what I do is once a quarter, whatever that day is, I will go to the amount that I have in my taxes, which is $600. It's just sitting there, and I pay it. That goes back to zero. But that's okay because I have already kind of prepaid some of the taxes, right? So that's how the tax portion works. The last part is the profit account. Remember the profit account? This is, let me come back over here. This is the profit account. So we've got $200 here. Let's say that over the course of 3 months, we build that up to 1,000. Follow me? So we've done this, 3 times if we're doing it once a month. We've got 1,000 in the profit account. So in the profit account, this is where you as a business owner get to give yourself a quarterly bonus, right? You have done a good job. And so what Profit First recommends is that you give yourself a bonus check of 50%. So if it's $1,000, that means at the beginning of a quarter, I get $500 as a bonus for owning a business. How awesome is that? Pretty cool, huh? Awesome. All right. That's finances. So as you can see, you can structure this to make it work for you. But I promise you, this makes my business so much better. And here's why. Before I started doing Profit First, I based everything on one business checking account, right? So when there was more money in the business checking account, what did I do? I tended to spend more money. And then what did I doubt? If I was going to have enough money to pay taxes. Was I setting aside profit? Did I have enough money to pay myself as the owner? And it eliminated all of that because I stopped basing my business on a number in one checking account, right? So that's why this system works. All right, guys, let's talk about the operations side of the business. So I have 4 systems of my online business. First one is marketing. This is all about generating traffic and leads. Anything related to blogging, podcasting, YouTube, social media, all of that is related to marketing. Number 2 system is my sales system. This is anything that converts a lead into a sale. Typically, I put email marketing in this because that's one of the primary ways we generate sales is through our emails. But I also would include like funnels. If you've got any kind of funnel, or your sales pages would go here. So that would be under this sales system. Okay. Then there's fulfillment. Now, fulfillment is what you do to deliver the product and service that you have. So for us, that's courses and coaching. So anything related to Fast Track Lab is under our fulfillment system. Anything related to Fast Track Insider, which is our next level coaching program, is under fulfillment. Anything related to courses is under fulfillment. And then finally, number 4 is management. And this is anything that supports the business, right? These are spreadsheets where we're tracking numbers. These are meeting notes, things like that. So that is the system side of the business. And actually, let me show you. Jump over to the screen. And what I do is, and I know this is kind of small here. What I do is we have our business organized in this fashion. So a lot of our documentation for storing our documents, we just use Google Docs, and we set it up this way. I've got a marketing folder. I can drive into this marketing folder, go under content marketing, and here's, blog post, guest podcast and posting, market your message show, like it's all in here, right? Then there's the sales folder. There's the fulfillment folder, so I can jump in here and you can see here, like here's Fast Track Lab, here's Fast Track Insider, Market Your Message Academy, stuff, whether that's video courses that we just upload into Google Drive or documents, things like that. Management, and then I'll explain this a little bit in a second, but this is our SOP main home. SOP stands for your checklist in your business, your standard operating procedures is what it stands for. Okay. All right. Moving right along. So this might help if we look at it. Let me see if I can adjust this. I'm going to move my video out of the way. All right. So this is how the main system works. So, this is the company, and then there's 3 functions of the business, and you have these whether or not you know it or not. Okay, I would say you have at least 2 of the 3 of these. First of all, you've got a way that you're doing your tasks, whether that's a planner, a written to-do list, you're using Asana, ClickUp, Monday, something else. What is your project management system? Now, our primary one we use is Asana. So Asana is the one that we use, that we have our team on there. I still use kind of a written planner, like right here, this notebook, for making sure I know what I want to get done today, but I get it from Asana and it goes onto my notebook. So that's one, use the project management. How are you handling your projects and your tasks in your business? Number 2 is document management. So you have documents somewhere. They might be on your computer, which I do not recommend, because if your computer goes down, you lose all your documents. Maybe you're using Dropbox. Maybe you're using Google Drive. This is what I just showed. So my document management is right here. This is how I set up mine in my business. All right, so that's the document management. Again, we use Google Drive. Now, the one that you're probably not doing, at least I didn't in the beginning, that I want to encourage you to do, and we may even do a separate fast track class on just this topic somewhere down the road, is your systems management. You have systems in your business. There is a way that you do things. You may not have documented it, but there's a way to do systems. Now, this is the big key if you ever want to outsource. I used to say when I was in the beginning, I wish I could just find another one of me, if I could duplicate myself so that I could get more done, right? And the problem with that thinking is you don't want a second you. You need other people with other strengths other than you. And there are people who can do things really well that you cannot do. But the step that comes in between that is you've got to have a way to create your SOP. That's your standard operating procedure. You could call it a checklist for how you do things, right? So what we use for that is we use a tool called Loom and Google Drive. So I want to show you just a little bit of this, and this is just going to be like a little bit of a teaser, but I use Loom, and let me show you my screen. And Loom, I just created a main folder called SOPs. When you click into it, it's everything's standard, right? You got marketing, sales, fulfillment, management. So let's just jump into marketing. So what I have is videos of how I do things. So right here is one on how to create YouTube thumbnails. Right? So what I did, and this is where you could start this practice right now before you ever delegate. Simply use Loom, which is something you can, I think there's a free account up to a certain number of videos. Even the paid account's like 10 a month. But you can use Loom and you just screen record yourself talking through while you're doing something that you're already doing, right? So in this case, I was like, you know what? I shouldn't be creating my own YouTube thumbnails. So what I'm going to do is record myself doing it. And once I do, then I have something I can delegate, because this tool can tell people how we do this thing, right? And then what you can do is you can create a master SOP like this. And I know this is super small because there's a lot here. I'll try to make this a little bit bigger for you. This is our SOP database on, you can see there's lots of stuff on here. This is our SOP database, and we're constantly updating it. So like I need to re-record this one and this one. But that's so much easier than what I used to do, which was trying to get screen grabs and put it all in a document. And then, a couple weeks later, the software that we use changes its interface. And then now all of my documentation's outdated. So what I prefer to do is just record a quick video. And when it becomes outdated, we're just going to hit record, do it again. And now that's going to replace it. So let me give you an example here, how to create and schedule a broadcast email in ConvertKit, right? So it's okay if I write the email, but I don't need to be taking it and putting in ConvertKit, setting it all up, scheduling it, something like that, right? And so this tells me what department. Again, no mystery here. It's either marketing, sales, fulfillment, or management. It's a keyword that you can put in, and this is software. So we have a long list of different softwares that we use. And then here's the video. So if I delegate this to someone, all they have to do is click on this, and it's going to take them directly to the video to help them remember how we're supposed to do this task, okay? Now, if you want to do a support document, then that's where this comes in. Let me just show you this. And it's just like a bulleted list of best practices, right? Like I like to start my emails with, hey, it's Jonathan. I use short paragraphs. I use bold text throughout the email to make it scannable. I like to use the email font size 18. I always like to use a PS. I leave 3 or 4 spaces between that and the footer. So these are just like best practices that are here. Now, the reason why I'm showing you that is because that's what this extra folder right here, this SOP main home, it does have the master SOP, but then look here, it's got the support docs for, again, the fulfillment, management, marketing, and sales. So that's why it kind of has its own extra little home right here. All right. Okay. Let's jump back over to, again, because we're doing a flyover today. Let's jump back over. I got a few more things. So here's a question you're probably asking. Jonathan, you've been in business for 10 years. You've got a team of 15 people. How do I do this if it's just me, right? So here's what I'd recommend. I think a great thing to do, and I'll probably do a future class on this, is to create a mission and value statement. I just think that's a good, it's a way for you to put a stake in the ground as to why you're doing this. And your why needs to be more than just, I want to work for myself. I mean, that's a benefit of it, but what's the bigger why behind what you're doing? And for us in this business, we're messengers. We want to make a difference in other people's lives, right, with our message. So there is a deeper meaning already. Just to show you ours, you can keep it super simple. Now I use a document that I learned from Donald Miller. I think it's called Mission Made Simple. And this is our mission statement and guiding principle. We will help 1,000 messengers get their first 1,000 customers by 2030 because their message matters. This will positively impact 1 million lives, right? And then our key characteristics. We're others-minded, we're community-minded, and we're growth-minded. I'll do a whole class on this later, but the point is having fewer is better than having more. So these are just like catchy phrases that we want to use in our business for my employees. We want to be saying people over profit, success happens in community, which is our tagline for Insider. Some of you are insiders here. So shout out to you guys. And then we're growth minded. We are always growing. We're not settling. And so we want to show up filled up for our customers. So we're about people over profit, success happens in community, and we show up filled up. We're others minded, we're community minded, and we're growth minded. And then that leads to our critical actions. We're here to teach and serve. If you work for Blogging Your Passion, which is Market Your Message now, then you're here to teach and serve. Our coach is an insider. They're here to teach and serve. We're better together is our other tagline. We believe that. That's why we started our insider program, because we know it's hard to do this all by yourself. And then we're always growing. And then there's the story pitch. At Market Your Message, we know most messengers, writers, teachers, coaches, and speakers feel overwhelmed with technology. They tend to doubt their own abilities, and they struggle to rise above the noise online. We've created a simple 6-step roadmap to help them get their first 1,000 customers so they can get their message heard and collectively impact the lives of 1 million people. So if we can help 1,000 of you get 1,000 customers, that's 1 million people that we've positively impacted. And that's our mission. And then our theme is every messenger deserves to have their message heard. You deserve to have your message heard. Kevin, you deserve to have your message heard. Carla, Laura, I see you, Dorothy, Rihanna, Walter, Phil, Jim, all of you guys, Dale, you all deserve to have your message heard. And that's the why behind what we do. So that's a good place to start, is your mission and values. If you haven't done it, this will create a lot of excitement and energy about where you're going. Then I would say next is just start recording what you do while you do it. So start using Loom, and the next time you get ready to write a blog post or schedule the blog post, or you just recorded your podcast and now you're loading it up to your podcast host, record yourself doing it. And then as soon as you do, just start with a spreadsheet and just start with, you can just start with name of the task, and here's a link to the Loom video. Just start there, just start somewhere. And then once you have about 20 or so tasks that you've put down, then and there's that, okay, use your spreadsheet. Then here's the next step that I would encourage you to do. And let me move myself out of the way here. So you look over your SOP, find 3 to 5 tasks that someone else can do. In other words, you don't have to do it. So for example, people expect to hear my voice on the podcast because it's my podcast. People do not expect me to be the one who edits the podcast, uploads the podcast, publishes the podcast, schedules the podcast. Somebody else can do all that. Just like today, here's a perfect example. I literally just showed up to teach you today. Somebody else scheduled this event for me. We use YouTube, like a YouTube Live that's unlisted. And someone on our team set that up for me. Someone else on my team scheduled all the emails, reminders to let you guys know this was happening. And you know what I did? I prepared my notes and I showed up and taught. Because those are the 2 things that only I can do. Everything else I don't have to do. And that is where you want to get to in your business. So once you start identifying a couple of tasks that someone else can do, you can start off very simple. I started off real simple. I started off by paying someone to create the image for my weekly blog post. It was, nothing. I was paying, $8 a week to have someone create a blog image for me from the Philippines. So hire on a temp basis, and you can limit it. You can say you're not allowed to work more than 2 or 3 hours a week. And, you can find good quality people. $9 an hour, honestly, less than that. $9 an hour is really good money in the Philippines. You can use a site like Upwork and just start delegating stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Then, once you get about 5 to 7 of these contractors, so maybe you have a customer service person handling your tickets, a graphic design person handling this, maybe you have a tech person that's helping with your website. Once you get about 5 to 7 contractors, that's when you want to think about hiring an OBM. Now, an OBM stands for Online Business Manager. You can actually go to onlinebusinessmanager.com and you can find a database of people. And this is how I found our rock star Roxanne, who is my online business manager. And what she has done for me the last few years is she has become a partner by managing these people. So I don't even manage the contractors in our business anymore. She manages it for me, again, so that I can focus on my strengths. So there you go, everybody. That is the process. That is how you can set up a business, think through the behind the scenes of what are our systems? You need a project management system. You need a system, right? Of recording how you do things. And then you need a document management system. Those are the 3 critical systems. And as you do this and you structure this correctly, it makes growth happen easier. So there you go, everybody. Did you guys enjoy this? Let me know. All right. Just kind of scanning through here. Awesome. So that is what I wanted to cover today in this topic. If you enjoyed this, comment, let us know. We'll do more topics about this. Maybe we can take certain parts, like today was a flyover. Maybe we could do a class just on the SOP spreadsheet, creating an SOP and outsourcing. Or maybe we can create one just on coming up with your visions, your 1-page vision statement. These are things that are good to do regardless of what level you're at. And just by having this structure, it allows your business to scale. I wish I would have had what I presented to you today back when I first started. Even though I wasn't really rolling in the money wasn't coming in yet, just having a organized, peaceful system for finances, for operations, for setting up the structure and entity, this is what I wish I would have had when I first started. So you guys and gals have a real advantage. It took me about 10 years to get to where I have the system that I do. But now you guys are armed with it. All right. Glad you guys loved it. Thank you guys for being here. And don't forget about office hours. Office hours, we can dive more into any of this. So come back for office hours and say, Jonathan, show me more of your spreadsheet on SOPs, or can you spend a little bit more time on this? Or here's what I attempted to do. I attempted to outsource, but I want some feedback. Can you tell me more about how you outsource things? So yeah, happy to walk through that. Come join us for our office hours session. That's coming up in a couple weeks. You can find all of it in the members area when the next event is. And happy to dive into what you're working on. All right. Take care, everybody. Hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for being here for the Fast Track Live class. Bye-bye, everybody.